Hi everyone, welcome back to Total War Therapy, and today we're gonna see who are the even worse legendary lords to fight with, what is about their campaign effects and skill trees that makes them so powerful, and how it is reflected in the battle with abilities and innate stats. Hi, I'm Alberto, I'm a real person, and here you will find the beginner's guide, the battle unit roster, tier list, ranking, and many shorts. So if you wanna support the channel, please consider to subscribe. Say that, don't forget to put a like, and let's begin. At the release of Thrones of Decay, the first campaign that I decided to play was the one with Epidemius, and at some point in the mid-campaign I was just pillaging Norska, when at some point the Dark Lady appears atop her big carmine dragon, and the crazy thing is that it was occupying all the Norska. I don't know how she got there already just in the mid-campaign, but it was so scaring. I had to run away to weaken her with my plagues, but nothing could stop her. Let's have a look at the starting army and the faction effects of Elspeth von Draken. As you can see, she starts with a very solid melee infantry. You will get a couple of spearmen to defend the flanks, a lot of swordmen, and 2 handgunners, one basic and the other are non-iron sights that are sturdier and with more armor piercing damage that will deal a crazy damage to the enemy, a couple of artillery pieces, and one is the Hellstorm rocket battery that is one of the strongest artillery in the game, and it can tear apart just by itself lines and lines of infantry. Then Elspeth got access to the Imperial Gunnery School. That is a little side mechanics that grants very powerful boosts and bonuses to the missile and gunpowder units, and believe me, they get really crazy over the campaign. More research rate, upkeep of less 15% for the gunpowder units, double experience for the artillery and gunnery units, and the Lord effect. I mean, she will be immune to vampiric attrition that, believe me, when you are in the Empire and you have to cross, all the Sylvania, it's a huge advantage. And I mean, a little cooldown, some abilities, and as you can see, it's a very strong effect to start with, and over the campaign she can get so powerful that you cannot imagine. This is the skill tree of Elspeth von Draken, and the main important thing is that at rank 16 she will get access to the mount the Carmine Dragon. That I already said in a video that probably is not out already, but the Carmine Dragon is the most expensive mount of the game, and you can understand that having this dragon with a spellcaster riding it, it's a bad experience if you're fighting against her. Then amongst the other abilities that are specific of her, so we will overlook all the things that are common to all the Empire lords. She will get a battle healing cap reduction of 25% to the enemy, and this is problematic if you're fighting with vampire against her. Then some boost to the magic, some boost to the gunnery units, some boost to her abilities. The regeneration that I mean, this is very powerful because she's already a very sturdy lord, very hard to take down, and giving this kind of lord the regeneration, for me it's just illegal. It should be illegal and punished by the law, and even some casualty replenishment rate to her troops. And then there is the Magistrix of the Amethyst Order, that it basically reduces the cost of the Winds of Magic to the Purple Sun of Xerus. If you think that I'm just saying a number, you don't understand how powerful this spell is, and the reduction of a high tier elite spell of 6 Winds of Magic, it means that you will use this ability a lot, and you will see your army just going away, vanished in the nothing, in the void, because of this spell that it absorbs even the sound itself, and this is terrible. This is terrible. But now let's have a look at the Imperial Gunnery School of this faction. In this, that there are different levels, but in very short you can upgrade these the gunnery units and believe me, it's crazy. Just let's take for example the Hellstorm rocket battery. You can add more projectile, you can add again more projectile, more ammunition, and you know, then for the cannon you can increase the missile strength, give the grip shot ammunition the monstrous impact, the Hellblaster volley guns will get more speed, the enabled suppressive fire. I mean, many things like that, that believe me, all together, it will make this faction and the gunnery units of this faction just unbeatable. And then I cannot show you, but when you reach the second tier, you will get access to 4 different units that I made a short about if you want to have a look, that are basically some gunpowder and gunpowder and magic units all together. That is crazy. I can just tell you that there is the Hellstorm rocket battery that will shoot these projectiles that will cause a tornado, a magical tornado on the battlefield, and there are more of them. Okay, there are like 4 or 5. So yeah, I mean, it's really, you cannot witness something like that. And fortunately, she will not use these special amethyst units that much in her campaign. So to sum up, Elspeth von Draken is a powerful spellcaster riding a laser dragon and leading an army of gunpowder fanatics units. What is crazy is that a long time ago, I think at the release of the Champions of Chaos DLC, the Empire was going through a very hard time. There were new Chaos-related factions that were terrorizing the land of the man. But now it's the contrary. Now there are the Empire factions that are actually terrorizing the poor Chaos legendary lord, like the poor Festus, for example. Now, what you have to do, if you cross the Empire border with hostile intentions, at some point you will meet her, and she will fight shoulder to shoulder with Karl Franz, the Emperor. You have to consider that she will start in a very easy starting location where there are not big enemies around. There is just blood, but it's quite far. So she will have time and resources to build, slowly her big empire. And at some point she will occupy many settlements. She will recruit very elite units. So she will be a very dangerous opponent, and you have to get ready. You have to debilitate her artillery as soon as possible, her missile infantry, and then you can take care of her and of her dragon. Of course, be careful of her magic too, because her spells and in general the magic lore of death, it can be quite strong. It's very versatile. Okay, there are offensive spells. There is the Spirit Leech that is against characters. There are some debuff spells. So yeah, overall it's a strong faction to fight with, and it's very hard to annihilate because, as I said, she has many settlements. So take your time, and yeah. I kindly ask you less than 1 minute of your time to introduce you to the sponsor of today, Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus. If you like turn-based strategy games with that chess-like flavor, Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus will be a nice surprise. With a 4.5 rating in the App Store. You can download it for free and start your campaign right away. You will lead an army of champions that you will be able to upgrade and unlock new abilities. Every champion has strengths and weaknesses, and you have to study the map and build up the best strategy in order to annihilate the enemies and win a couple of challenges. My current team, for example, is comprised of Varro, the chief and damage dealer, Certus, the missile specialist with the long range but it needs protection, Bellator, the tank supposed to absorb most of the enemy damage, Incisus for the medical support, and Vindicta for the flamethrower. Of course, this is nothing compared to all the champions that the game has to offer, that as you can see is almost infinite, and there are always new updates. So have a look at the link in the description, and let's back to the video. When you start whichever campaign in the Badlands in Immortal Empires, you know which is the main rule. Stay away from Skarbrand for all the early campaign. Because in the early campaign this dude is such a powerhouse, even if they debuff him, they debuff his starting army, he's still very strong. So it's better if you let him ravaging all the map while you just focus on other stuff and don't try to encounter him. Because if you will unleash unleash his rage, he will be too late for you. So just do your own business, and at the end, when you have a better army, you can finally attack him. Now let's have a look at the starting army and the faction effects of Skarbrand. As you can see, his starting army is quite weak. You have just a couple of Chaos Warriors of Khorne, some Bloodletters, a unit of Warhound. Honestly, I think they changed it with the last patch, because the last time that I played there was another cavalry unit and probably less Bloodletters. The huge strength of this campaign is that you get the army replenish in foreign territory. That is crazy, because most of times with all the other factions, when you attack, like when you have a hard fight, then you need sometimes to go back to your area to recover, to replenish your health. But this is not a problem of Skarbrand. That will replenish the hit points of his army even in the foreign territory, so when he will be still attacking you. And then some upkeep reductions, some abilities, and the Gore Feast for Bloodthirsts and Swordgrinders. So in very short, it's a very aggressive faction that can afford to attack you multiple times without stopping, and this is very dangerous. This is the skill tree of Skarbrand, and as you can see, there are many abilities that revolves around replenishing the campaign movement after winning a battles, and there are many of these. So basically how it works, that when you win a battle, when you fight a battle with the Skarbrand and many Khorne faction, it happened that you can fight again. Okay, it's not, you don't finish your movement, because you create more movement just enhanced by blood, and when you're fighting against them, this will make them unstoppable. So they will attack you multiple times, multiple settlements in the same turn, even with the same army. Another ability very important for Skarbrand is the range incarnated, that basically causes the rampage in the enemies nearby. That is terrible, because if it charge your front line, that maybe there are some missile units close, he will attract them like a magnet. Okay, all your missile units that were shooting at him will be forced to fight in melee against him, and he will destroy, tear apart all of them with just swinging his very sweet axes. And yeah, this is terrible to witness. And then, okay, of course he gets some bonuses to his already very impressive stats. And yeah, then there are all the Khorne abilities that I will not mention one by one, but just let's say that with the School Throne of Khorne, that is a new addition with the last DLC, you can get powerful things like summoning Bloodletters, or helping boosting the Blood Host. That is basically when you take a settlement, you can decide when you destroy a settlement, you can decide to summon this blood host. That is another army at your command. And yeah, already Khorne is crazy to fight with, but with Skarbrand, I mean, you have really to keep him away for all the mid of your campaign. As I said before, if you're playing your campaign in the Badlands, that is not that easy. There are many powerful legendary lords like Cetra, Manfred, and but yeah, stay away from Skarbrand. Don't get close to him, because if you will attract his rage, he will be the end of your campaign. He will be very aggressive, and he will have the chance with his infinite movement to attack you multiple times, even in the same turn. So build your little empire, grow stronger, recruit many strong units, and just at that point you can start your crusade. You can jump into your crusade against Skarbrand, and at that point you have to be sure that you will annihilate him. You cannot play diplomacy. You cannot expect him to surrender at some point, because he's stronger than you, he's more aggressive than you, he's angrier than you, like my girlfriend, basically. But yeah, be careful and play wisely, and maybe just maybe you will have a chance to win. And this is very important, be careful of his rampage ability. If you are some units that are very close with this little aura, even your missile units that you know are trying to shoot at him, they will lose the control. They will attack him on melee and you will lose them. Okay, so keep this in mind, cross the fire on him, but yeah, keep a distance between your units because otherwise it would be over. I was playing a campaign with the Kislev and I decided to expand to the north, to the Chaos Wastes, and I was expecting attacks from all the demons, but I didn't know that from the east, this little old guy at some point started to attack me very bad, and I found out all the power of the Chaos Dwarfs faction, because I knew what was when I was playing with them, but I didn't know the pain of fighting against them. All the sights, abilities and the magic of Astragoth, it's so overwhelming, and believe me, it's better to not encounter him in the map, and when you do it, you have to be really prepared for that, and for losing half of your army. Now let's talk about the starting army and the lord effects of Astragoth. The starting army even here is not that strong, the melee infantry is a little unbalanced, and you get a couple of Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses that if you approach them in the front with AI, they are dangerous, but otherwise if you find a way to just circle around them, they're not scaring. And then a Bull Centaur renders that this is a high tier monstrous cavalry specialized against infantry, this version at least, so yeah, just be careful. Then you will have more research rate, the conclave influence gain from all the sources. This will help the lord to boost his campaign his campaign, you know, leveling up faster. And then some passive ability, more casualty replenishment rate, a ward save for Bull Centaur renders. I mean, from the campaign mechanics that you can see here, he doesn't look particularly strong, but we will talk later why he actually is. Now let's have a look at the skill tree of Astragoth Ironhide. As you can see, is quite full, so you will not be able, even in the late campaign with your 50 skill points, to level up every single category. You have to take some decision if boosting your main army or the campaign effects, the magic or the melee skills. Now he's already a melee specialist. Okay, it's very strong in melee, but what it boosts more in his skill tree is the magic, and believe me, it's crazy because he's such a powerful spellcaster. I mean, even by lore, but you will see, you get a bounce spell by free, reduction of the power reserve capacity of the winds of magic of the enemy, more winds of magic per you, and you know, more some reduction of costs for your own spells, and all together you will feel the difference compared to other spellcasters in the game. You will be literally obliterated by all the fire that he will cast on you, and this is crazy. Then he grants some boost to the Bull Centaur renders that together with the part of the red line, I mean, you can make them quite powerful. And yes, it's strong in melee, it's strong with magic, it's strong in campaign, so yeah, be very careful when you fight against him. Astragoth is definitely another legendary lord that you should not make angry, because first I want to say this because it's something for me very relevant. There are some buildings in the, you know, in the Chaos Dwarfs chain that can grant the factions that are close of even of one province, you know, one province far to the enemy I mean to the Astragoth army in this case, that they can get access to some artillery that they can fire at you in any position of the battlefield, and you have to be very careful about that because these artillery abilities can annihilate some of your units in just, you know, a couple of seconds. Then Astragoth, it's very strong, it's very hard to take down because it's a large entity, but it's actually quite little and fast. It's very elusive, it's hard to catch, so you will suffer all his magic for a long time during the battle. probably will be the last unit that you will you will finish during the battle. And yeah, I'm just sad to say that, but it's fast, it's armored, it's a spellcaster, so there are no weaknesses with him. And of course, its army is always made of Chaos Dwarfs that are very resilient, of some monsters, some artillery. So yeah, it will be, just by default, even the weakest army as possible. It will be very hard to take down. So get ready like always, because you will have fun if you win, only if you win. When I play with whichever faction in Nagaron, I always try to keep a certain distance between me and the Sisters of the Twilight, because with all their mages they get access to basically a god and all the missile power, they boosted units, the casualty replenishment that is very high. You will believe, I mean, you can believe me, it's better to just stay away and do your business and never attack, never try to, attack their woods, because otherwise it would be a pain. Let's have a look at the Sisters of Twilight starting army and lord effects. The starting army is not that particularly strong, but she got a couple of Hawk Riders that in other Wood Elves faction would not be that impressive, but with this special ability, the Volley of Kurnos, that it's a unique ability that the Sisters of Twilight faction gives to the Hawk Riders, they will have this couple of projectiles, magical projectiles ability that I mean, it will tear apart your infantry unit. So this is a game changer. Then they will get more ammunition, but yeah, in any case, with the Wood Elves you will have this pain of being shut down of this rain of arrows, so doesn't make difference. Then they will have access to the Forge of Date that will grant these powerful items that will get stronger and stronger over the campaign, and then upkeep reduction for missile units, more melee stats for the flying units, and so on. They are very, very scaring, and honestly, I don't want to do anything I don't want to do anything with them in my campaigns. This is the skill tree of the Sisters of the Twilight. It's not mentioned, I'm not sure why, but they start with an eagle, but at the end they will get a dragon. Okay, that is just, a stronger mount. Then all the things revolves a lot about boosting her army. As you can see, there is a plus of the reload time reduction, of speed, and many things. Some additional ability for the Volley of Corners to the Hawk Riders, and yes, she will be level up both in the melee and in the missile category, and believe me, she will be so tough in both. In the melee, because with the dragon, they do what you can expect from a dragon, but the missile attack will be very powerful. Okay, this is something that is sometimes overlooked when we do ranking, but the missile attack of the Sisters of the Twilight is basically a two shots artillery piece, flying fast, very accurate, magical. So yeah, it's just crazy, and you should be very, very careful when you fight against them, because even without need of from the dragon to attack you, believe me, she can really destroy you just with the magical arrows. And then she got boosted in many different categories, she can boost more her army and so on. And then there is the thing of the Forge of Date that will grant you this item that they will get stronger and stronger over the campaign. So at the end you will have this two girls army that yeah, it's insane. Luckily the Sisters of Twilight, they may be a little peaceful, they don't they don't starve to attack you, and you can take this as an advantage and grow your empire before deciding to attack them. Then when you conquer their main settlement, that is the big wood, it's a very hard settlement to maintain, you will have a lot of debuff because it will be a climate not suitable for you. So consider if you actually have a reason to attack it. But if you want just to get rid of them and you're free to do it, as I said, just get ready. They're dragon with this artillery piece that they're not arrows, they're not bows, they are magical ballista that are quite accurate, and you know, they hit you with a lot of explosive damage. And yeah, then they will have some enhanced units like the Oaks. They will have a goddess Ariel that it's a powerful spellcaster in this game, so you have to get prepared to this. And she will play defensively, so you will be in her land, you will suffer some attrition, you will suffer some debuffs, and it would not be definitely easy. And they even grow stronger very fast, okay? They started to get the items from the forge, and yeah, at some point they will be very hard to beat. So if you want to do it fast, you know, I mean, put all your army together and just travel to these woods to take care of them. Otherwise, in the late campaign, you will need definitely an extra help to do it. If you're enjoying the video, please consider to put a like and share in the comments how can I improve the channel. Clan Morse is not a very interesting faction to play, but when I play with Khalida, when I play with Skarsnik, and when I play with Thorgrim in the recent years, I only got one problem from the mid to the late campaign: Clan Morse. This guy gets the chance to expand so much over the campaign. He doesn't have main enemies in the early campaign, that's why he can get very strong. Probably with the upcoming Nagash things will change, but for now you have to, you have to know that when you reach one point in your campaign with these legendary lords, at some point you have to fight a Skavenado, a giant horde of Skaven that they will be hidden or around the mountains, so very hard to catch. And that's why beating and annihilate the faction of Clan Morse hits so painful and so hard. Now let's have a look at the starting army and factions and lord effects to Queek Headtaker. The starting army is not that remarkable, but he got a catapult that can be quite annoying if you fight against him in the early game. Now, what's really disturbing about this lord is that, as you can see, amongst all the factions effects and the lord effects, you will see mentioned the menace below. That is the very disturbing ability of the Skaven, where they can summon a unit of clan rats wherever in the map, attacking your artillery, your missile infantry, and with a very little cost for that. And with Queek Headtaker, they can purchase up to 5 additional level more of the menace below for a food cost reduction of the 33%, and they will get even a couple of more by default. And then, when you fight against him, you will probably be a dwarf or a greenskin. You can be Skarsnik, you can be Thorgrim, and they will get for all the army a melee attack plus of 10% and a weapon strength plus of 10%. Now, all of this, it's insane for me. First, because the menace below is the most terrible feature of this game, and this is why playing against Skaven, it's so hard, so annoying. And with the Queek, it's even boost this thing. And then because when you play as a dwarf and then Greenskin, you will even have them with enhanced stats, and this is crazy. I mean, this lord, it's terrible to fight with. And if you are playing, as I said, in that area, I mean, I really hope that will come Nagash to help us a little with him, because otherwise, I mean, I don't want to think about. And here we are with the skill tree of a Queek Headtaker, that it may look a little egoistic or selfish, but actually there are some sections dedicated to boost its own army, like here that it grants more leadership, that Skaven really need more leadership, and yeah, some stats around him, again more armor recruit rank and casualty replenishment rate for its army. So yeah, I mean, he boosts many different sections of the campaign in the army, but of course he's a very skilled melee fighter, so be careful when you approach him directly in battle. But even with him, the problem is not the unit itself, but the campaign, okay, and all the boosts that he finds, during his campaign. What is funny, as I said, about Clan Morse and Queek Headtaker is that his strategic position is basically the Switzerland. Okay, if you think about the many mountains where the settlements hard to reach, that even if you want to conquer, okay, whole his underworld empire, you cannot do it easily, because he will sneak around from one part and from one side to the other side. He will control one settlement, then you will go to invade the other settlement, and he will take back the other settlement. So it's very, very hard, and Skavens have an advantage in that, because they can go under the ground, and it's easier for them. And in case you wanted to conquer them, it will be pain. It will be a big pain, and you will understand why no other country wanted to invade the Switzerland. Then they will summon a lot of rats, so you cannot afford to not put some unit at the defense of your artillery, of your missile infantry. You have to be extremely careful about that. And even your low tier infantry, they may have some problem with all these upcoming rats, and then they're Skaven, so they can build under city in your settlement. They will have the warp units that are some of the strongest units in the game. I mean, there are so many disadvantages of invading these lands, and I will say it for the third time, I really hope that Nagash will come and take care of this cornet rat, because otherwise it's too pain. But it's always very, very fun when I play my Khalida campaign. I struggle so much to get rid of Clan Morse that I really wanted to put an end, but it was so hard, because when I was just do a step into his land, then he was attacking the desert, and I mean, it was I took so many turns, but at the end it was a pleasure. Before Creative Assembly set free Tamurkhan in the north of the Mountains of Morne, you know that when you were checking the diplomacy list of who were the strongest factions in your campaign, you could always find Grimgor, because he was expanding so much, gathering so many settlements, that it was becoming not anymore a wag but an empire, a solid empire, almost impossible to defeat, because you could not just destroy so many settlements, and every time you were getting close, he was unleashing another wag and beating your and that's why this faction was so powerful, and still now it's very, very hard to take down. Now let's have a look at the starting army and the faction Lord effects of Grimgor. As you can see, the starting army, I mean, it's quite strong if you think that there is a unit of Black Orc, some solid melee infantry, a catapult, I mean the Doomdiver catapult that it's quite useful in the early campaign. About the factions effects and the Lord effects, they are, even here, they're not that crazy. It boosted the Black Orcs and the big goons units, so there is a boost in the income from the post-battle, but overall nothing that important. I think that his true power is expressed through the WAG, because not the ability but the WAG of Grimgor, it's really taking everything. Here we are with the skill tree of Grimgor Ironhide, that is not particularly impressive. At the end is just a lot of boost to his melee capabilities, some bonus for the Black Orcs that, I mean, you will need it more in your late campaign when you will get access to this unit, even to the big guns actually. And then some causing terror, some more hit points, speed, some replenish of the campaign movement after winning a battle. Nothing that worthy to mention, but because I think it's more about the WAG, the true power of Grimgor. But overall, it's a very unstoppable melee fighter, so when you fight against him, you have to be sure that you have the elements that tools to deal with a powerhouse like that. And remember that it's still it's still a little, why I cannot see. Okay, it's not here, but it's a small entities, so all the tricks that you can use against large units, they just do not work with him. As I said, it's a fortune that the faction of Grimgor got weaker, you know, over the patches, the releases, the DLC, because at the beginning of Immortal Empire it was very annoying. No matter which faction and campaign you were playing, at some point you had to fight against the big wag of Grimgor, that even if they are greenskins, so they have interest in, you know, raiding the settlements, sacking them, they were occupying them for I don't know which lore reason. And you know, Grimgor was having one of the biggest empire in the campaign. They were controlling, I'm not joking, like from 20 to 30 settlements, and this is crazy for a faction like that, because then it was calling the wag, so these armies, they were getting the double, and at that point it was impossible, you know, to finish them, so you had to wait for the wag to come to the end and play defensively until that, and just at that point you could play offensively and try to conquer some settlements that yeah, at the end you will suffering anyway all the rage of the Grimgor armies. And Grimgor itself, it's a very hard opponent. It's better if you don't send any legendary lord or, you know, duelist against him, because I mean, even the big one, he can easily tear them apart if he want. It's still a big orc with a big axe, and yeah, his position is in the mountains of Morn, that as I said for Clan Morse, it's very hard to take. Okay, there are still mountains, then the orc, the greenskins, can go in the, you know, in the underway, so they are very hard to catch if they don't want to be catch. And yeah, so it will be very hard, but at the same time very challenging. When Creative Assembly designed Archaon for Immortal Empires, they clearly wanted to make one of the easiest campaign for the player and one of the hardest opponent to fight with in your campaign. And if you play with the Bow resources, you will know what I mean, because it's such a strong opponent to take down with this big horde of monsters, demons, warriors of chaos enhanced in their stats, and yeah, it's so dangerous, so powerful that it makes me laugh. But at the end, this is the kind of challenge that we seek when we play a big game like Total War Warhammer 3. Now let's have a look at the starting army and the faction and lord effects of Archaon, the Everchosen. His starting army, it's quite powerful just because there are Chaos Warriors, a unit of Chaos Knights, and I mean some demons all around. But you don't have to forget that at the very beginning of your campaign you will get access to a Hell Cannon. That is one of the most destroying unit, artillery unit of the game, and getting access to that in the early campaign is just crazy for all the factions that have to fight against you. You can get a research rate of +10 for each vassalized faction. That is not that hard to vassalized faction with Archaon. More souls for turn from the vassal. Unit gain, all authority, ward save for all the army. This is good. Okay, ward save means that any kind of damage will be reduced. That is crazy for a faction already that powerful. In any case, yeah, it's already scaring from here, but yeah, believe me, it's nothing. This is the skill tree of Archaon the Everchosen, but I want first to show you that when you occupy your first settlement, you will get already access to this Hell Cannon. That, I mean, this is a game changer in your campaign and in the campaigns of his opponents, because yeah, you can recruit it in the early campaign, and I have nothing to say about it. And then about his skill trees, it's very full even here, so you cannot you cannot afford to level up every single line. You've just decide which one to prioritize. In any case, you will get the magic line. He's a powerful spellcaster. It's of course even a strong melee fighter. You can boost him in all the different stats of the unit card, and then he will get a lot of boost to his army, like for the experience, the upkeep, the melee defense, physical resistance, the speed, weapon strength, and so on. In any case, yeah, it's the problem of him is not only him, but even its army, because he would be so enhanced when you fight with that. Of course, you can even use the red skill line just to boost them even more, and the result, the outcome will be this this for real apocalyptic army that it's unstoppable, like the apocalypse itself. The only campaign where I actually won against Archaon the Everchosen before getting overpowered, myself, was the one with Boris Ursus, because otherwise you need a lot of resources, a lot of armies if you want to take care of this lord. Archaon the Everchosen is a spellcaster, is a tank soldier with a horse that he's like a bullet, a flaming bullet. He can get access to many different chaos related units, from demons to machines, and he will have even so many loyal vassals, okay, that will defend and bunker his position. So if you want to attack him, it's not just him. He will have these allies that with who you cannot play any diplomacy, so you cannot just force them to surrender and then attack Archaon. It's just impossible. And so yeah, you have to take care of his allies, then of his armies, and at the end, if you will be very, very lucky, you can try to occupy his settlement. And in that way it would be easier, because Archaon doesn't control many settlements. It's a faction that relies more on the support of the Norska minor factions, and this is the only good thing. You should probably just try to sneak around and take his settlement before he will notice it. Another thing is that if you occupy a strategic position for against him, like in Kislev, when you try to control the border of the eastern oblast, at that point, at some point, he will attack you with many armies. It would be very aggressive, so you have to be careful. Okay, you have definitely to be careful, but yeah, believe me, it would be a huge pain, a huge challenge, and a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. Thank you for following me, and see you very, very soon. Of course, remember to download Warhammer Tacticus. You will have a lot of fun. You will find everything in the description, and I wish you an amazing September.